It was the middle of the year. My classroom was painfully quiet. I'd ask students to share ideas and get crickets. I reminded them of our norms. I gave them wait time. I even modeled responses. Still, nothing. That same week, a researcher was in my classroom recording everything I did. Each afternoon, I had to sit down and watch myself teach. It was eye-opening. As I watched, I started noticing patterns. Some kids were dominating the discussions, and others weren't talking at all. And everyone else fell somewhere in between. I found myself wishing I could give each student just one piece of advice, something personalized they could use right away. But how could I do that quickly, for every student, without taking up all our class time? So, I came up with something that ended up working pretty well. A simple visual that students could use to figure out a goal that really made sense for them. Each student started at the top of the decision tree with the question, "Do you talk in class?" From there, they followed a path of yes/no questions. For example, do you talk in class? If they say no, then the questions began to focus on why the students may not be participating. For example, the next question on the decision tree is, do you not talk because you're not paying attention? If their answer is yes, then the flowchart suggests the goal for them to use. In this case, it says, ask questions to teacher or group members when you get lost. Once they land on a goal, they wrote it in a designated spot in their science notebook. We all use the same page, so it was easy to find. That became their focus for their week. Each day, we'd take a minute at the start of class for students to reread those goals and share their individual goals with their shoulder partner. The point of this was to keep each other accountable and to encourage each other. At the end of class, students would get feedback from their shoulder partners as to whether they met their goal. They used agreed upon symbols, like an X or a check, to show if they met their goal or not in a simple chart, which was checked daily by me as an exit ticket. At the beginning of each new week, we'd pause to reflect more deeply by using the flowchart again. Sometimes they would pick a new goal, and sometimes they would keep the same goal. One thing I figured out pretty quickly, students don't get very far with reflection when they're working completely alone. The decision tree might look like an individual tool, but honest reflection doesn't happen in a vacuum. That's where shoulder partners came in. Instead of asking themselves, do you talk in class? The partner would ask the questions and, more importantly, help honestly rate themselves. So, if a quieter student said, yeah, I raise my hand all the time, their partner might need to tell them, actually, you don't. That feedback, truthful, respectful, but real, was a big part of this process, and it didn't stop at the start of class. At the end of each period, partners also checked in. Did we follow through on our goals today? Did our behaviors match what we said we'd work on? That layer of accountability made goals stick. I also had to think about what it meant when students stuck with the same goal for weeks. Sometimes that's okay, especially for students who are perfectionists. For them, 4 out of 5 days isn't good enough. And if they're making real progress and choosing to keep going, I really want to honor that. But if a student has the same goal for 5 weeks and nothing's changing, that's a signal for me as the teacher that I need to step in. I need to pull them aside and ask them questions such as, what's getting in the way? Or, are you really working on this? And even more important, how can I support you to move forward? These small moves, partner feedback, daily check-ins, teacher follow-up, help turn this from a one-time activity into a routine that actually supported growth. After a while, I noticed students' progress on their individual goals started to level off. And you may notice this as well. Something I did to make progress on our goals again was to move to whole class goals. And you can check out our other videos in this section on how to set whole class goals. But this one little tool, our Do You Talk tree, changed the tone of our classroom talk. If you're looking for a place to start, or maybe you're feeling a little stuck, give it a try.